Hello everyone and welcome back to Call Sign Charlie Models. Time for part 3 of the Academy 132nd scale F-16I Sufa. And this kit so far is so much fun. It's absolutely coming together amazingly. No issues with the main fit. The only issues I'm having is because of aftermarket added to this kit. So like the Wolfpack resin cockpit in here, had to do a little bit of modification to the kit to get that to fit, and the Ares landing gear again had to do some sanding for that. But other than that, I mean, the kit is going together absolutely lovely, and not having many issues with any of that. I got the canopy glued on or tacked on with Elmer's glue just to protect the canopy, right, or the cockpit, so when I paint, that's all protected. I'm not going to have to really worry about overspray. I might put a little piece of tape right over here just to really make sure that no overspray gets into the cockpit, but even if it does, it's really not going to be enough to matter with that. And then got the aftermarket dorsal spine from Isracast attached. That was absolutely a perfect fit as well, and no issues with that. The dorsal fin or the conformal fuel tanks, again, no issues getting those added on. And then on the underside, again, the Ares rear tank or rear landing gear well was an absolute drop-in fit, no issues with any of that. Just removing a little bit of a hair right here, but and then again the same with the nose landing gear well as well. So what's next for this part 3 of the Sufa build? We got a lot to do with the landing gear, getting those all on. The nose landing gear from Isracast absolutely looks amazing on that, so that's going to be nice. And then we have all of the sensors and lumps and bumps to add on as well. As you can see, these are the corrections for the kit parts, and they absolutely look gorgeous along in here. And then your vents, and then the replacement for the nose landing gear door. The detail and how thin it is, absolutely amazing. Getting this all cut off, and then there are a couple pieces that go onto the back side of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off a camera here, and I'm going to get the nose landing gear all done, and I'll be back, and then we'll be starting with the main landing gear, and then getting all that done and cut off. I won't be attaching any of this to the model as of yet. I'm going to wait to attach all the landing gear until after paint and weathering and all that is going to be part of the final assembly of the kit. And then once we get done with the landing gear, we're adding all the lumps and bumps, sensors, and all that to the fuselage, getting that all done. And then to close up part 3, we're going to be doing the Ares engine, which I have right here, and this is going to look absolutely amazing when it's all said and done. We're not going to attach it until final assembly, but we are going to do a test fit to make sure it fits properly and we are not going to have any issues at the very end. So it's going to be a busy part for the most part. Not a lot going on to the kit, but this is when it's really going to start looking like a Sufa. But yeah, so I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get this nose gear door cut off. And the way I do it is I'm just going to cut, because somebody asked about how I get my parts off without any breakage from the supports. And all I do is I just cut it off from the base right here, as far away from the piece as possible. Alright, and then we got this one right back here. Get that done, and then I'm going to come in with my hobby knife right here, and I'm just going to cut them off right along the edge very carefully, so that way there's no breakage. And that's how I'm going to do that. But other than that, I will be back in 1 second once I have the nose landing gear done. All right, so I got the landing gear done. All the landing gear wells, these look really nice inside and then outside. Again, a little bit I've been sanding and sawing, so, and I do have a little bit right there. I'd missed that, so I'm gonna hit that up real quick. All right, and then yeah, so this is all done, ready to go. So I have a little parts bin right here. You can see a lot of the other struts and stuff that are in there. Those all get painted separately. And then again, this piece right here, again, detail on the inside, absolutely gorgeous. And then the nose landing gear, all done as well. Not much to that. This is the aftermarket from Isracast. Again, absolutely lovely detail on that as well. Going right in there. And then we move into the wheels from Res Kit. And the fit on these are really well. I don't have the hubs glued in right now. I'm going to press them out when it comes time for paint, and then paint them separately from the wheels and then glue them back in after that. So, and then the way that I got them drilled out perfectly was I used this variable size drill bit right here, and I just slowly drilled through until it caught to the edge of the wheel, and then after that I cleaned it up with the hobby knife, not going too far. So those main wheels are all done right there, and then flip it around. That's all done, and I can pop these off, paint them separately, and then glue them back in when everything is done. So up next, we are starting to do some work on the fuselage. We're adding in some of the sensors and vents and all that, and then we have this piece that is also from the Ares landing gear set, so we got to glue that piece in. All these lumps and bumps, the tail hook and these vanes right here. Also, I have a antenna from, which step was it? It was on this step right here, step 14. I gotta glue that on the bottom. So I'm gonna get my jig up so I can put this on and not have to worry about it being ruined. So I'll be back in 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and get all these vents on and antennas, and then I'll be back in 1 second. All right, I'm back, and I got a lot of the lower fuselage done. We still have a lot to go on here, but a lot of it is done. So got this little spine piece on from the Ares cockpit set, and yes, it is going to take a little bit of putty on both sides, front and aft of it, but all in all, it is looking rather nice. And then again, got these two vents or exhaust on here, and then the two fan strakes. It is a tight fit. I might have to use a little bit of putty on that, or I might try repositioning it. And then these two vents right here from Isracast got put on. Again, a little bit of putty is gonna need to be put in there. I guess I didn't clean up one of the portions on it, and when I was doing my test fit, it looked like it was flush, but when I went to glue it in, it was not flush like this one. So that's it for now. Up next, what we have going on is the engines from here. So we're gonna get all this cut off from the casting blocks, and then start prepping for paint on all this. We're also gonna do a test fit to see how it fits before we get paint on, even though I'm gonna paint it anyways, but we're gonna do a test fit. What I might do is get this outer ring on and then leave the exhaust part on for the very end, or off until the very end. So that's what's up next. I'm going to get this put aside and then get everything ready for the exhaust. Getting all that cut out and ready to go. We'll take a look at this stuff again. It's absolutely amazing detail on here. And then we got the photo etch burner ring right here, the instructions, and then looking at all this stuff. Pull it open. So yeah, we're just gonna cut off right along here where my fingernail is running, and then we're gonna do a test fit of that area. But the detail on here is absolutely superb, and it's gonna take a wash and paint real nice. And it's gonna look absolutely amazing when it's all said and done. Drop that piece. But yeah, so this burner ring is gonna go on top of this piece right here, like so. And it's gonna look absolutely amazing when it's all said and done. So I'm gonna get off of here now. I'm gonna get this stuff prepped, and then I'll see you in a second when all of this is ready to be primed. Alright, so we got the exhaust all painted up and ready to go. All I have to do is do the assembly of it. So walk around doing what all I painted and how I painted it first. And let me grab Alright, so to start off, I primered it, of course, and then I went in for the exhaust pedals, as you can see here, and the inner exhaust piece right here. I started this off with the anodized aluminum from MRP 081, got that done, and then I went in with the, for the exterior of it, I went in with a MRP jet exhaust and kind of like just misted it over that, so you can kind of get that little hint. It doesn't look like straight anodized aluminum. There is a little bit of shadowing to it, so that came out very nice. And then on this part I used a, let's see, AK Extreme Metal burnt metal right here, and just went along the outside comb right here. Right, and then for the insides, a lot of people, they use white for the insides. That's that comes off too white for me, so I like using light Arctic gray from MRP number 246. And I went in, and just to start off with on this one, see if I can get the camera to focus, there we go, went in and just hit that. And then with the exhaust streaks, I used exhaust suit from MRP right here, number 180. And I came in with the airbrush and just went in freehand to hit that area, some of those areas up, to add in where the suit is getting caught up in some of the panels. And then I did the same thing on the actual exhaust tube right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, but just same thing, the Arctic gray for the main coat, and then the exhaust suit going all around. And then for the turbofans, I went in and I hit it with the anodized aluminum, and then I hit it with the exhaust metal and then the burnt metal, and came off like that. And the same thing with this piece as well. So, and then this ring right here is just with the anodized aluminum. So this kind of gives you a look on how the anodized aluminum just looks by itself without any other colors. So what I do need to do is I need to mask this ring off all along in here, along this panel line right there. And then I did do a test fit, and it does fit perfectly along with the fuselage, so I won't have any issues with that. And then this part right here gets painted with the fuselage colors. Alright, so I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get all of this assembled, and then when that's done, I will show you how the final look of this exhaust, and then get this glued on to the fuselage after I get it masked off. And then we're going to keep on trucking. I said this was going to be the end of part 3, but with how short this is so far and how quickly I've got caught up, I think we're just going to keep trucking along and just go for, might even finish the build portion on this part. So we will have to see how long this takes me, because I still have a good amount of stuff to add to this, but we will see. So I'll be back in 1 second once I get all these put together. Alright, so I got the exhaust all put together. This part isn't glued in yet. I'm going to leave that off, but just to show you how it kind of looks when it's all done. And getting that piece back on, I'm just going to slide that off. But again, the actual exhaust cone right there, looking mighty fine. And then the interior of it as well. And then we take a flashlight all the way into it. See if I can get it to look. There we go. Looking the part right in there. So this is going to be set aside until the very end of the build. I'll put that on at the very end after all the painting and weathering and decals and all that stuff are done. And actually I think there's decals that actually go onto this as well. So this is all done. It's going to be set aside into the bin, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this part masked off along this rim right here, the aluminum rim, and then I'm going to get this attached to the model as well, and then I can start moving on with adding in all the extra parts to the kit. So I'm going to get off here, I'm going to get this masked off and then get it attached to the model and get on some other stuff, and then I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, and I actually got a lot done on this off camera this morning at the club's workshop on Saturday morning. And so got a lot done. It's looking like a Sufa. It is almost build complete. Got the wings on, a couple photo etch bits onto the edge, got the burner can, or the ring that goes before the burner on, got all that done, and then the vertical stabilizer and all the tiny little parts that go onto that as well. And so on this, I'm just gonna do some perfect putty right along in these wing roots. I'm also gonna clean up some of this glue that has I was kind of sloppy with the glue a little bit ago, and also I need to just double check and make sure that I don't have any seam lines along the leading edges of these wings and such. And then also got the nose on. Top fit is perfect. Bottom fit, a little bit of a gap and a step to take care of, but shouldn't take much to take care of at all. Rather easy on the sanding to take care of that. So after that, up next for it is got to start working on the canopy railing that's going to be going on to here, right here, and getting all of that ready to go. The canopy won't be getting attached yet. I'll be painting this piece separate and then attaching the canopy, and then I got to mask that off as well. Then also we have some sensors that we need to attach from the Isracast 3D printed resin. They are the correction set for this kit. And then after that we just have the ladder to do, and then some more lumps and bumps to the very bottom of this aircraft, and then pitot tubes. I'm thinking I might wait until I might paint these separately as well, just to make them look better that way. And then after that we're moving on to the pylons, getting all the pylons done, and I'm going to leave those off and paint them separately as well and attach them at the very end. And then I do have a bunch of aftermarket weapons that I'll start doing here. But by the next video, when I start coming back, I'll at least have the canopy railing done, all the lumps and bumps attached, and the ladder. These pieces, these little wind vanes or whatever they are, I'm going to leave those off separate. I'm just going to cut them off and put them in my bin for separate paint. That way I can paint these, because these are a gray color while the fuselage color is in that camo color up here. So it's just going to make painting it a lot easier that way, especially for the small parts. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. And then I'm hoping to have the build portion complete possibly in the next couple days. I'm thinking maybe by Monday or Tuesday everything should be done and ready for primer and paint, after I go through and just check off all the like the wing root areas and stuff like that I needed to put putty on, just to make sure that we are 100% ready to go. And then after that it's time for paint, and this thing is going to look amazing when it's all said and done. This kit has gone together very well so far. Not many issues. The wing roots right here, a little bit of a gap, but like I said, easy to fill with some perfect putty. I'm going to put that in and then just wipe it off with a wet Q-tip, and that's all going to be taken care of. Then on the nose, again, just a little bit of a gap and a step right over here. That shouldn't be much of an issue. And then the Aries landing gear set comes with this spine right here to fit in. Looking back at it, I wish I would have used the actual kit one. I think that would have gone on better than what this part did. But that's hindsight now, and we'll get this one to fix. It's an easy fix. It's not that bad. But yeah, so got all that done, and I'll be working on this stuff later on tonight. Up next, I'm going to be filming a unboxing, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you in a little bit. Alright, and I'm back, and the build portion of the main Sufa is done. I've got all of the fuselage and wings all done. All I got to do now is go in and hit up some putty areas, like on the bottom of the nose, the wing roots areas, and then along these sensors right here. That was my error from sanding off a little bit too much. There's a little bit of a gap there that just needs to be fixed, but not much of a problem right there. A little bit of perfect putty in there, and it'll be all right, along with these wing roots here, and again with the bottom of the landing gear well, or the main gear well. So all of that is done. So up next, what I'm going to be working on is the storage and pylons, getting all that done, and then the external what did I just hit? The external non-fixed sensors to go onto this. So I'm going to get all that done, and then I will be back. I already got a couple of the fuel tanks done. These are from Qatari, I believe, or yeah, I believe these are Qatari fuel tanks for this, and they absolutely look amazing. And again, a little bit of perfect putty right in some of these seams, and those will be all good to go. All right, so I'm going to get off here. I'm going to start getting all the ordnance and pylons and all that stuff done and ready for paint. And then again, after all that's done, I'm going to go back in and hit up some areas that need putty, and then re-scribe some areas that got putty that I don't want to have anymore, like some of these panel lines right in here. But other than that, that's it. So moving right along on this kit. I will be back as soon as all the ordnance and everything is done, and then that will be the end of part 3. Part 4 will be all the primer and paint, and then part 5 will be the decals, and part 6 will be weathering, and so on and so forth. So I'll be back in 1 second when all the ordnance is done. Alright, and the build stage of this project is complete, and it went together really well. I am honestly surprised on how well it went together. There were very few, if any, fit issues at all. And again, like, I can't really blame fit issues once I start adding aftermarket parts into it. And with everything being said, this kit went together beautifully, and I'm really looking forward to the next part where we start doing the putty and primer and paint and getting this thing to actually start to come alive. So again, like I said, the build went together absolutely great. So far, the only notes I have for it are like in the nose gear well, had to do a lot of sanding to get that to fit with the onto the fuselage with the intakes, and then the cockpit from Wolfpack. Again, that took a lot of sanding on the bottom floor to get that to fit into the fuselage. And then the Aries aft wheel well was a perfect drop-in fit with no issues whatsoever on that. And then the Isracast correction set, absolutely gorgeous set. fits perfectly. The only issues I have are from areas that I didn't sand down well enough on the 3D print supports. So those are just going to take a little bit of cleanup, do a little bit of perfect putty around those areas, and then those will be good to go. So I'm going to end this part with this being said, and then like I said, part 4 we're going to start with the putty and primer and all that. So that part's going to be a really fun part of the build, and then part 5 will be the decals and then weathering. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next part and continue on with this journey. But until next time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell button for notifications of when I post future content. And until next time, have a great day and stay frosty, my friends.